Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV. This is the reaction show for the game MK Dons versus Tottenham Hotspur, and the score MK Dons 1, Tottenham Hotspur 3. I am Sam Spurs for life, and we're going to talk all about Spurs tonight, and we're happy. Joined in the house, as usual, Mike Hotspur Hustler, Darius 3K, Sid Spurs, and Stuart Gallop. Welcome, gentlemen. And how did we think? Oh, what do we think of that performance? Good performance?
Solid, I think the word is.
Solid, good, yeah.
Solid performance. We'll come to each of you to give your thoughts. Let me just get the banners up. Going across the screen. MK Dons 1, Spurs 3. A good, solid performance. Even at the back, you know, I said Carter Vickers, I think we had a little bit of a chat. He's carrying a little bit of timber. He looks like he's got a bit top heavy there, but he didn't do too much wrong. Tanganga looked pretty solid in the back. Doherty was okay. I thought Reguilón played well. He definitely combined down that left-hand side very well with Bergwijn. Bergwijn, again, another player that looked like he's up for it. Just want to get him that finishing, you know. I think Stuart mentioned it in the chat earlier. If he could just, you know, get a goal, and maybe that will just unleash him to maybe have the confidence to go on and score more goals. Because I think he's got it in him. I just think at this moment in time, he's, even with that game against, who was it, the first game we played, when he kind of had to pass it on because he didn't want to take that responsibility. I just want him now to kick on from there. Lucas Moura, fantastic. Dele Alli, my man of the match, surprisingly so. I know. Look at Sid. Look at him. I don't even... Look at Sid.
Don't make him wait. Get Sid on.
Credit where credit is due. Dele Alli played very, very well. He definitely looks like he could play off that left side of a free. If you're playing a 1-2, like a one behind and a two, he really looks like, because he can break into the box as well. He can drop in, get some spaces, pick the ball up, and you know, a couple of them Freddie balls that he played today, sublime. So credit where credit is due. Son, as Son always does, clinical finishing. I'll come to Darius. Darius hasn't been on for a while. Darius, will come to you first. What did you think of the performance?
I was very impressed. You know what? I keep doing this every single year. I keep doing this. Keep getting excited. I keep smiling, thinking, yeah, this is it. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna do great. All these players in preseason playing well. They got one more chance. They're gonna do it. And then something just goes wrong in the actual season. But I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a new manager bounce. I don't know if it's because I'm seeing patterns of play now and seeing actual football and attacking football actually visible in Tottenham again. It's just a sight to see, to be honest, and also the young players as well. For me, the young players they seem to bring an energy and a life into the team that sort of just exuberates throughout the whole squad. And I think that if you can find the young players who are ready and play them in games that they are able to compete in and do well in, I think that you could honestly see something really, really special come from this team. And like I said, if it doesn't work out this year, they're all under 23, 24. So they've got time to gel. They're going to freaking get better. It's honestly, I don't want to get too excited, but I am very happy. And like you said, if you can bring in an elite centre back, like we've discussed, Romero is our number one target, and then you bring in somebody like a Milenkovic, somebody like Tomiyasu, we really don't need to probably do much more in the market at all. Probably get a backup striker.
Hold on, Darius. Now let's steady.
I'm being honest. Like, I'm talking. Obviously, this is incomings. Outgoings still need to happen as well.
Okay.
I'm talking about incomings. If you get two centre backs in and a backup striker, I've seen now Ali, Lucas, Son, Bergwijn. All these players seem like they're going to be able to contribute enough for me. And if you can get 5, 10 goals and assists, 15, 20 goals and assists out of maybe 3 or 4 out of them, you'll be laughing. And that's not even talking about the flipping crown jewel who's not even played yet. So if you've got all of these players cooking like this, without Kane in the team, without Lloris, without even any centre-backs being signed, it only seems like a good thing to me. And I really do hope that this isn't just a result of us being confident because we're playing MK Dons, Colchester and Leyton Orient. I hope we can transfer this against maybe not against Man City in the first game, but hopefully against, you know, the Wolves and the Watfords coming up, and hopefully against the Arsenals and Chelsea's coming up as well. So yeah, I'm just happy overall, to be honest. I hope we can continue, and I hope this isn't just a confidence thing and we really can play like this in the Premier League.
Very good. Very good. A very good overview. I also liked Now John today. I think he was very neat and tidy. Didn't give the ball away too much from what I can remember. Skip, again, his vision is fantastic. You know, he's just showing what he's about. You know, it still looks like he lacks a little bit of fitness to me, but I think that's not a problem for me, because what I'm seeing from him is his ability, his vision. He's like always checking
interceptions for me. Was it the Lucas goal that he intercepted? His
recovery. That's what I was going to say. The recovering of the ball. If him alongside Hotspur, who are both very good at recovering the ball, if they can, and again, this is how it all depends on how Nuno. He's got a lot of options now. Nuno. That's the one thing we can say. There's a lot of options for him. Stuart, I'll come to you next. How did you think the game went?
Yeah, another really solid performance for me. For the first, again, it's been a very similar structure for the games, which is good as well. Like, you know, we're getting 65, 70 minutes, and we're seeing the sort of more wholesale changes. So for each of those between 60 and 70 minutes, where it's been largely the first team, I've been very happy with the progression that we've seen, because we said this after we watched the Leyton Orient game. It was a performance that we knew was the first pre-season game, and then it was about seeing improvement in different areas, and we are consistently seeing that now. Like the interplay between like the midfield breaking into the attack, that is getting better every single game. And I think, you know, when you've got people like Hotspur back in, I mean, the front four, you know, we've got Dele, Bergvin, Moore and Sonny at the moment. That's not looking that bad. So that's all really pleasing to see, because then that's a very nice problem to have when you've got Kane, Lo Celso and then Dele back. And even, you know, we're talking about Brian Hill as well. I know he's more one for the future, but he's still going to be there pushing for a place.
But off the bench, imagine his skill set off the bench. That's going to be so helpful.
That's the sort of depth we've been after for a while. It all comes back to the defence. The defence did all right tonight. I disagree with the comments about Reguilón. He had a bit of a shaky first sort of 5-10 minutes, but once he got into a groove on the left with Bergvin, he looks awesome. And I think that's the thing to get excited about.
I think you said going forward, he's definitely.
But that was his first pre-season game, so I'll cut him a bit of slack for that.
He always has that.
You know, to get up and down the pitch the way he was in this first pre-season game is really good for me. He'll just get better. He's still really young, so it's just good to see him back. Doherty, I'm still not convinced about the guy, and I'm not convinced that he's going to be the man this season. I think, you know, if Tomiyasu comes in, I think he's going to push him for a starting place. And then you've got Piscozzi, just really, really exciting me. Every time I've seen him play, he just looks really solid and really confident, and he just looked the total opposite of what Doherty did on the ball today. So overall, I was really happy again, and it's now what we've all been waiting for. It's these next two games. They're pre-season games, but that's the caliber of players that we're going to be really up against going forward. So it's how do we perform against those guys? That's what I'm intrigued to see now.
Just going back to your point on Reguilón, I don't think defending is his strong point anyway. So looking at what we did today in terms of our pressing, we're going to be playing on the front foot. So you're going to need a player like him, who is going to be high up the pitch to be pressing, to join in the attacks. When Ben Davies come on, Ben Davies does a bit more of a defensive duty. So again, there's options there. The game did slow down. Obviously, when they made the subs, the game did slow down. Before I come to Sid, because I know Sid wants to talk about our friend Dele, come to Mike, get Mike's thoughts on the game itself. What did you think was the highlight of the game itself?
I was really impressed with the pressing and the fact that the lads, they look sharp, which under Mourinho, I don't think there was a game where we did look as sharp or as fit as what we are looking at the moment. And I think that's going to be a big factor for us going forward. If we can improve, I still think that there's still players there, like tonight, that their fitness levels could probably improve still, but they're looking sharper than what we've seen of them, as I say, since Mourinho's days. So I was really impressed. The mistakes that they forced the MK Dons into. I think all three of their goals were due to mistakes that we've made them we made them sort of take as such. So yeah, I was quite, and I mean, with the finishing, I mean, Ali should have probably had 2, but I mean, cut some slack. But no, I was really impressed. I'm gonna say my highlight was probably the pressing. I was really impressed with the intensity and the pressing, and we haven't seen that probably since Pochettino's days.
Peak Poch.
Yeah. So
and it's not even sorry, Mike. It's
very
just
very
the
early Jose. Very early.
Yeah, well,
Jose.
early Jose. It's not just the pressing though. It's the time that they press as well, and also the pressing numbers. Because you can have Son doing what he was doing with Jose, running like a headless chicken, pressing on his own. It doesn't do anything for him. If you've got 3 players like Ali, Bergwijn, and Son who are all pressing in triangles together, it kind of just it's not inevitable that you're going to win the ball back, but it increases your chances so much.
The pressing, I think there's still improvements in that pressing game, because there's a few times where MK Dons comfortably passed through it, and I was like, but it's just again that's what these sort of games are for. Not, I mean, the real test will come again in pre-season, will come against the likes of Arsenal and Chelsea, and that will be a couple of steps above what we have been playing recently. So I'm putting down the first few games that we've had is just purely just fitness. The test will come to see where we are in terms of that level against Arsenal and Chelsea, in however many days or weeks.
So it's next Wednesday, the Chelsea game, apparently. Is it
Wednesday? So that it'd be interesting to see how we cope with that. I'd like to see the same intensity, the same pressing game. It's refreshing to see compared to what we saw last season under Mourinho and stuff. I think it suits us as a football club in terms of pressing and hounding the opposition into making mistakes, which is what we've done for our goals today. So I'm going to go with pressing. I was quite impressed with the pressing today.
Patiently waiting, and I'm going to let him have his say. He's there. He's now calm. He's got a smile on his face, and I'm going to ask the obvious question: were you impressed with Dele Alli today, Sid?
Sorry. I'm just listening to Guess Who's Back again. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Yeah, no. Do you know what? I was quite impressed with Dele today. He played well. I think his interlink play with Son and Moura was very good. That through ball he put through for the Son offside goal. Again, that was Dele Alli in his best days. I think throughout the whole game up until the 85th or whatever it was, he got taken off. I think he'd done well. Should have had a couple of goals, at least the second goal, like Stuart was saying. But overall, I think he looks fitter, he looks leaner. And I told you guys, just let him play. He will come back. And I think Nuno's going to believe in him, and it will happen. Dele's going to be back. GLC, where are you? Where are you? But in terms of performance, I think today he was quite good. The 4-3-3, like you guys have already been saying, I think it's looking decent, especially with Moura, Bergwijn. I think Bergwijn just needs a little bit more shooting practice, because I don't know how he didn't score that one when he went through one-on-one.
Well, let's look at the lineup whilst you talk. Carry on.
Yep. The midfield three, I think the midfield three was Skip, and I think Skip done quite well. Ali with him as well. So in general, I think the midfield is quite good. Like, we've got Højbjerg to come in, which is going to be interesting. And Dembele, I don't know. To be honest, at the moment, I don't know where he fits in.
He's on daddy duty, isn't he? So
yeah, he's on daddy duties.
Don't read too much into that.
Yeah, I'm not reading into that. But centre backs, I think we're still a bit suspect.
I was going to say that question. Would you be confident going into any game in the Premier League with Carter Vickers and Tanganga as centre backs?
No way. Not a chance.
Not a chance in hell, mate.
Not a chance in hell. Never mind them two. No. If you throw in Dyer and Sanchez into the equation, then I'm still saying no way.
You could have all four of them playing in the centre back, and you'd still be concerned.
I'd be scared.
I'd be scared as well.
That's the only worry, I think. That is the only worry, isn't it? That we haven't got, and this is the same issue we had all last season, is that we haven't got a settled back line that are playing together in pre-season, that are getting fit together, they're
Good
learning
point.
how to work together. That's still not there. So again, that's all stuff that's going to have to click really, really quickly. So it's just about like if Romero is the main man, which I hope he is, then I hope he settles into that back line as quick as Diaz did at Man City, where it's literally he started as if he'd been there for years.
But also, if you think about it, the way that we're playing as well, I was saying this 100% throughout the time that Jose was in charge. If you press high, you're giving your defenders less work to do because the ball won't be there that much. What Jose was doing was basically complaining at having bad defenses, but then making them concede, what was it? Something like 14, 15 shots a game. If you do that, you're obviously going to lead to more mistakes. So I'm saying if Lucas Bergwijn and Sonny continue to do that, the defenders won't have a lot of work to do, or the work that they'll have to do will be kept to a minimum. So they won't be making as many mistakes.
That's very, very good point. Sorry.
We've got Skip as well. He's a workhorse, mate.
He's great. He's
workhorse.
Skip and Højbjerg are gonna Skip and Højbjerg are gonna be a partnership and a half. I can guarantee
I'm
that.
telling you, 100%.
The thing is, like the way that they're on midfields, I know it's Leyton Orient, Colchester, MK Dons, but the way that midfield is working, even when it's not anywhere near what the finished article will be, is really bloody good because like Skip will work his ass off. His distribution is amazing. His interceptions are amazing. You chuck Højbjerg into that where he's not under as much pressure as he was last season because he was doing 2 or 3 guys' jobs at most points in most games. For him to be able to focus on a certain part of the pitch or a certain particular role because he knows Skip's got the other bits covered. I think
it almost seems like
amazing.
A free roll, doesn't it? Because Dele drops so deep now. I've not seen Dele drop deep at all, really, for Spurs. Because even for Poch, he was running past the striker. So to see him actually drop deep, pick up balls and play passes, it seems that the roles change. It seems that it's not necessarily a 2-1. It just seems like it's 3 in midfield. They have similar attributes and they can all cover each other's positions, which is what I want, to be honest. And I think it could work. I don't know how. I think the Celso will work in like a 4-3-3, but in Ndombele, I do believe it will work. I just think that maybe he should be a bit more forward just in case that he can't intercept or, do you know what I mean? His fitness isn't going to ever be to the standard that Nuno wants, I think.
But both their levels of fitness won't
it's crazy,
work
isn't
in this
it?
Nuno team. They won't work in this Nuno team right now. So they're going to have to get their fitness right up there.
100%.
The thing is,
my only concern, guys, I don't know if you agree or not, is even if Romero comes in, right, he's not going to be the end-all be-all of all our solutions. We still need... Because even with no matter how good he is, having Sanchez or Dyer or Tanganga next to him, I still think it's going to be a liability. I think we're still going to have issues. And I still think we need...
Don't forget Rodon.
Yeah, we've got Rodon, but I still think we need either Milankovic, Tomiyasu, or another centre-back coming in. Because I'm still... No matter how...
Romero won't be the only one. I don't see any of our other signings being anything other than defenders now. That's my view.
Unless it's an opportunity, and like Paratici said, if one goes,
a young striker,
one goes, one comes in.
The thing is, though, as Darius mentioned earlier, if the style of play is more on the front foot, you are putting your defenders under less pressure. What we do when you play deep, you put your defenders under pressure, and it gives the opportunity for teams to play long balls. Because if you're not pressing them, they've got more time and they play long balls. So your defense is going to be under pressure. When you're on the front foot, as Skip showed today, as Ali showed today, as Bergwijn showed today, as Son and more from that front position, 2 things happen. You get the ball back quickly and you're higher up the pitch to try and at least attack the goal more quickly. So again, it's good to see. The other thing that I was really impressed about, and I wanted to ask you guys about, was seeing when I think it was when Son came off, very much a togetherness with Nuno. I know it's early days, but that's very telling for me because Nuno has been, touted for that man management style of things. Very much a touchy-feely type head coach. Mike, what's your thoughts when you saw that?
Yeah, you can see straight away, can't you? There's a difference. The mentality and the togetherness looks like it's already sort of shaping up. I did notice when some went off, or when quite a few of them went off at different stages, there was Nuno's number 2. I forget his name off the top of my head, but straight away they're all sort of fist pumping. They're all like giving each other a pat on the back. They're all going up to the players on the bench. I think Nuno has slowly started to get that togetherness back, which I don't think probably took too much, to be fair. I think Mourinho probably damaged some of the relations and some of the morale in the squad, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's something Nuno specifically worked on during pre-season so far, trying to get that togetherness back and sort of. And I think they're trying to. You can see there's like there's a rapport being built back up with the fans slowly but surely, where you didn't see none of that last season.
No. It's Ian Caffro is the coach.
Ian Caffro, that's it. Yeah.
I've got a good feeling about him because he's very much like Nuno, where he's very into like a really close bond with the team, and he really sort of grasps with teams by the looks of it. So
he's highly rated as well. But
yeah,
I think it's only positives. You can only take positives away, and there's nothing really negative to take away from any of these games that we've had so far. I mean, as long as everyone's sort of realistic in terms of who the opposition is, and the fact that really and truly these games are purely just down to fitness, and that test will come later in pre-season, i.e. next week. So
I want to come to a couple of the comments, and I want you guys to, before we come to just a quick shout out to those watching the Yorkshireman, Premier Hotspur TV. Simon, thanks for joining and watching again. Glad to see you back. Need to see you on the streams again soon. Gems, Spurs Fect 1081, Eddie Ryan, Kieran Gilbert, shout out to you. Nippon Sharma, shout out to you, Nippon. Who else we got in the house? Leon Powell, thank you for watching. Stu Mac, thanks again. I'm going to come to this comment here from Cody Matt. Cody Matt, as always, appreciate you and your viewing. What do we make of Winks and Dye being left out, Stuart?
Being sold.
Simple.
Please.
Simple as that.
Please.
Yep.
And if it isn't, then they're being left out.
Not being funny.
Their bad playing is just.
Yeah.
They just need to go.
M6.
I'm not going to say anything else. They just need to go. Please get deals done.
Paratici's watched those first 3 games, right? And these the first 2 games that Dyer and Winks were in. It don't take a rocket scientist to realise they're not good enough for what we want to do. So you get them out so they don't get injured, so they can be sold. That's my view. Could be totally different. They could be getting bloody rested for the Chelsea game for all we know. But it's a week away, that game. And when you look at I know, Carter Vickers and Tanganga were very sort of loose, more CCV than Tanganga, but we will have other players who will come back into that back line for that game. You cannot see how Winks will get a start ahead of Skip, Hojbjerg, even Ndombele, because you could quite easily put in that formation. You could quite easily swap out Ndombele for Skip. It's just it's more fitness and work rate, because or you swap him out, Skip and Ndombele. That I think could work the way that they're playing in that formation. So Winks is just flying down that pecking order, because you put him behind Lo Celso playing in a deeper role. If you wanted to play Ali and Dele and Ali and Lo Celso in the same team, so Winks just cannot fit in that team anymore. So I do generally think that some of this is them starting to go. The interesting one for me was Ben Davies was back. Where's Rodon? Because they've both come back at the same time. Where is it?
I honestly don't.
I know we can't read stuff into it, but it's just for me.
Because you could argue
Carter could have a knock for we know.
You could argue Carter Vickers isn't going to be a Tottenham football player next season. I honestly don't think he'll be knocking around in that squad anywhere. I just can't see him fitting in at all. I don't think he's good enough. But he's played. What was it? 3? Has he played the last 3 games? I think he's played all of them.
That has to be a put on the market thing, surely.
So again, I wonder if he's just being played to put him out on the market, which I think probably realistically is the case.
And it's actually hurting him.
It probably is. I'm going to come to Sid. Sid, who do you expect? Because I think now we're going to be getting into the next 2 games, Arsenal and Chelsea. Are you expecting to see? Who do you expect to see start? Because those are the games now for me that will tell me if he's really going to shape his team towards that Man City game. Are we expecting to see, we might not see Hojbjerg back, but someone like Ndombele? If we see, as we've talked about, Winks and Dyer play, does that send a level message out? What are you expecting from those two games coming up? I know we're dealing with this game, but what are you expecting to see in the next few weeks from those games?
I personally think the front three at the moment, I wouldn't change because obviously unless Harry Kane comes back. But again, even if Harry Kane comes back, you can't bring him straight into the team. Some people might say, yeah, we should. But personally, the way these three have played, I think I'd keep with Son, Bergwijn and Moura. I think Ali, Skip, I think them two are starters with probably Højbjerg in the middle. Centre-backs, it's a guess. It's a guessing game for the centre-backs. Left-back, I can see, that is going to be the biggest problem. And unfortunately, against Man City, no matter how many games we win, how many goals we score, against Man City, unless we've got Romero in and somebody else in, them four are not going to be good enough. And I can see us conceding, no matter how good we are up front in the middle, how much Skip does, what Højbjerg does, they'll just rip them two at the back, centre-backs. They'll rip us apart.
That's the sort of... Sorry, Steve, I'm just going to say that's the risk at the moment, isn't it? Is that we don't want to be in a situation where we get too, not out of, because it's going to, necessarily be a sign of the rest of the season, but two sort of defeats us. If we lost both those games, you can see that the negative part of the fan base, or who ones that are like, will immediately sort of switch to, we're doomed, we're going to have a really terrible season. All of that will just ruin the sort of the growing positivity that's trying to be built by Nuno and all that stuff. And that's not because we might not be able to compete next season. It's just at that time playing those games, we might not have the team to properly compete. It just depends on where Chelsea or Arsenal are at in their own pre-season and stuff. Because, that's
the thing. I think Lloris will be in goal. Right back.
Yeah, what did you think of that, though? Lloris being on the bench and not even coming on for the second half? Because they have rotated the keepers. Even in the last game, I know Whiteman started, but then they brought someone else on. Was it late on in the game? I can't remember now. I might be not actually thinking about that properly. But Lloris, wouldn't say he wasn't overly excited on the bench, but he just, I don't know. Is there anything to read into that? What do you think, Mike?
No. Go on, Mike.
I agree with what you're about to say, Sid. I don't think there's anything to read in between the lines. I think he's just come back from the Euros, hasn't he? Same with that's probably why Rodon hasn't played. To be fair, he's probably still on leave. I know Davis, obviously, he's come back, but we can't.
I think it's just because he saved the penalty, honestly, and he's probably on a high and probably like, mate, just carry on. You're playing well.
And the fact that we're playing MK Dons. Do you need Lloris to play there? You don't. No. We know what he's about.
Exactly. No.
You'd be more surprised if he doesn't play Chelsea or Arsenal, definitely.
I think, and that's where I think he'll probably start coming in, is the Chelsea, the Arsenal pre-season.
You think we'll see Galini?
I think we should see Galini. I think we should. I think we should. At least the half. I don't think a whole game. I definitely think we should see him for at least a half.
I do think Nuno's a bit like Poch, though, isn't he? Where he's very strict on... That story is such an old thing, so we just need to even ignore that.
I know. I just put it up there, and I was just going to say, well, whatever.
And I'll try and explain it to people later on how they're not going to be signing anyone for a big amount of money. I'll go through it again because no one seems to be listening to that at the moment. I'll send that. We should put out a few articles, and then they'll understand. But I think in terms of like Galini and maybe even Rodon and stuff, it does seem that Nuno is very hot on. He'll do a fitness test, and then if you don't reach the sort of levels that he wants, then he'll probably put you through a bit of a routine, and then that's when you'll go through that process, and then you'll start. But that's fine, because we need these guys. Cannot be as unfit as they were last season. Just that's not going to work in his system.
I'm going to just bring up the stats of the game. It doesn't really mean. I know it doesn't really mean much in pre-season as much, but 52%, 48% roughly. I think the biggest thing though was the attempts. I'm liking the attempts now with 17 attempts on goal. Do you know, that's a big improvement on the Jose era, shall we say? Even seeing people offside, that means that you're making runs in, you're trying to get behind the line. You know, when you see the offside attempts, the offside numbers at that sort of level, you want to see that, but not all the time, obviously. But just a bit more timing. The attempts on target being 9-6. It was a pretty open game, don't you think? It was a pretty open game. I would say it was
MK had a few chances.
Yeah.
MK had a few chances.
Let's be honest though, did anyone actually ever feel under threat from MK?
No, but they do play good football. I will admit they did play good football.
They are,
the possession was they know how to play football. But obviously, when you there's levels. I keep saying there's levels. Like quality is quality. When even if you had a bad manager, when you've got people like Son on your team who can finish anything pretty much, it's like there's always going to be that gap. And for me, like I said, the only reason I'm so happy is because I'm seeing repeat patterns from Tottenham, which is the only repeat pattern I saw from Tottenham last year was defending and counter. The counter patterns are great, but I'm seeing attacking patterns. Son's runs, and Son is one of the best runners in football. His runs are amazing. Every time Lucas or Bergwijn or Ali gets on the ball, Son's gone. He's gone straight away. Yes. And that's exactly what you need. Even if you don't get the ball, as Son doesn't get the ball all the time, Bergwijn's on that next run. He's ready to go into the space, and it just creates so much more space for all the players around him, even if you're not getting onto the ball. So for me, seeing the patterns of play actually work and actually repeat themselves in all three games, and like you said, Stuart, we've gotten better, and I think we've gotten more mature over the performances. I think that's something that I've noticed is even the young players, when they step in, they seem to not really be out of place. They don't seem to look like young, eager, pit bull kind of players who are just running around. It just seems like everything is organized and there's a confidence in what we're going to do. And if we can continue that and bring in our players like Hojbjerg, like Kane, like Lloris, these are three captain-esque players who aren't even playing. If we can bring them in and do the same thing, I really can't see how we can't do well. And then obviously, if you do add a centre back to this team, and you get somebody like Romero, who's elite, I think, or going to be elite, then there's not any room to go into this season without a positive attitude. And obviously, if we lose to Man City, I don't want people to also get on to Nuno either, all the players, because it's the first game, and I'm seeing good things. So we need to, as a fan base, kind of keep our expectations to a level and also get a bit excited and be a bit positive, because you never know what can happen. You do never know what can happen.
And a lot of teams going to be in the same position as us. A lot of teams have got players that are in the Copa America, they're in the Olympics, they've just played in the Euros, so they're going to be in the same sort of state of play as us. So I think we should all just be optimistic. Don't get carried away.
What do we think of this? What do we think of this then? So, just a comment from the Yorkshireman here: to play Reggie and Doherty, we have to play a back three. If they're in a 4, every team will target them. Great going forward, weak in defence. What do you think?
No.
What do you think, Stuart?
I don't agree. No, I don't agree. I don't agree at all. Because the point is, like, when you're playing with them in a back 4, it's all about how your midfield is dropping into certain areas of space. Because we're already seeing that at certain times. Skip will drop back and sort of sit just within that back line, or it would be Hojbjerg. So, and I'm not being funny. If we were playing, if our plan was to play a back 3 this season, we would be playing it now. Unless we're going to revert to a back 3 for the next 2 games, I just don't see how that's going to be. We might play a back 3 in certain games, but I think this main formation of this sort of 4-3-3 just seems to work, because he's trying to fit. He's trying to make this work for the rest of the team. Because if we get the attacking side right, and that, like Darius and that saying, that forward press spot on, the back line is under so much less pressure. So Skip and Hojbjerg are very, very good at knowing when to drop in and out of the defensive line. They do it all the time, and Skip was amazing at that at Norwich last season as well. So I disagree.
My only concern with the formation, if we go 4-3-3 and Skip and Hojbjerg are playing, you're heavily relying on that third midfielder to be that creative influence.
I disagree. Now, I actually disagree with that, because the reason that you're saying that is because of the way that Jose viewed Hojbjerg as a player. I actually think that Hojbjerg is better as a number 8, and the Euros proved that to me. He got the most assists, and I think that Skip, the point you make is right. I think Skip going forward isn't as effective as Hojbjerg, but I really do believe that Skip and Hojbjerg would be able to create enough, because Skip's a good dribbler on the ball. I think he's a better dribbler than Hojbjerg. So Skip can get past players dribbling, and Hojbjerg can thread passes and can also really play a good through ball, and has got a decent shot on him. So I think that the issue for me I have to disagree with you slightly still. I think that if you do play Doherty and Regular, I do think there's not enough defensive capability in those two if you don't play like a very, very defensive midfield or workhorse-like midfield. I don't think Ndombele could play in that midfield if we're playing a 4 at the back with Doherty and Reguilon. So I think it's all dependent on the players. And like we said, the options are just so... We can talk about multiple teams and multiple formations. The options are so big for Nuno. It's not a bad thing, but I do think that somebody like a Tomiyasu or even Pascozzi. And I know that's crazy to say, but Pascozzi is a centre back who looks like a capable defensive right back. If you've got somebody like him playing there, I'd feel more comfortable.
If you play a 4-3-3, you can compensate for the right back and the left back because the right-sided or left-sided midfielder can tuck in or tuck across, and also the right-sided or left-sided forward. So you can compensate because the 4-3-3 allows you to do that. Again, it all depends on how much protection you want or how much you want to go forward. You might want to keep your right-sided forward high up the pitch so you can go for more counter-attacks when you win the ball, or you can encourage them to come back, win the ball a bit deeper, and then break from there. I'm not really worried about Doherty and Reguilon being in a back four, if I'm honest with you. They probably would work better in a back three, potentially then have them as wing backs, Bowen Hart, the pitch. But I think we can compensate for that if they're coached right. The players around them will be able to protect them.
My question is: do you think they will be our starting fullbacks? Then, do you guys think that they will be our starting fullbacks? Because I don't see them two being our starting.
What's the bet? What's options? What's your other options? No chance.
That is the only thing. I don't know the other options.
Reguilon on the left, but I don't think it'll be Doherty.
But really, Doherty's starting. I know Aurier seems like he's out the door, but and I know we can't talk about players that haven't signed, but it just seems like we need to get a right back because I personally wouldn't want. I don't mind Doherty as a second choice at all. I think he'd be a perfectly fine second choice, but as a starting right back, I'm not too sure. I am not too sure.
I agree with that. Out of those two fullbacks, Doherty's the one that.
Because if you have to sacrifice maybe not getting Tomiyasu, Milenkovic, and Romero, you have to sacrifice maybe one of them for a right back. I really would, because Tomiyasu is a right back. Well, he's played right back, but again, he is a right back. No, Tomiyasu's a right back. So if we do get Tomiyasu, then I'd be okay. This is all hypotheticals. None of these players have signed yet. So
when Pascozzi came on, I didn't really notice that Doherty had gone. He wasn't like, oh my God, what's going on here? So that for me shows that Doherty's not really that level anymore, in my opinion.
Or Pascozzi is very good, and we're underestimating.
That's the instant thing that I noticed about Pascozzi was the fact that when he gets the ball, he's always his body is always positioned in the right way where he can play a first time forward pass all the time, so he can then kick on. Because it's almost he's always looking for a 1-2 or a quick return pass to get up the pitch, and Doherty just isn't doing that. It's like he's almost sort of totally forgotten how to play in a more advanced role. Because there was a point where we'd gone forward and Doherty was in acres of space. Dele passed it out to him, and what you would expect from a pretty decent right back is a first time crossing to the box. He didn't. He held on to it. Passed it back towards.
Is that confidence thing as well? Do you think? Do you think maybe?
I think he's just lost that confidence to really go forward and attack like he used to do at Wolves. I don't know what's driving that, but
I think Doherty's better going forward though. Generally, he's better going forward than Pascozzi. Pascozzi defensively is better than Doherty.
He's really like Foyth.
He is exactly like Foyth. And it's typical because he's a centre back, so he's going to be better defensively because he's going to be thinking about the space behind him all the time. Whereas he just lacks that. I don't know, but like Serge, for example.
He's 18 though, isn't he? So
yeah, 18. It's scary how good he is at 18.
18. That is crazy. I mean,
guys, we're going to have to wrap up soon, but I want to get a quick 30 seconds overview. What you want to see for the next game, Sid? I'm going to start with you.
Next game's Chelsea, so I think I want to see a bit of more of I want to see exactly what we've done going forward in the last couple of games, especially today. The midfield and the attackers have been brilliant. Shore up at the back, but as long as they play like they did today and the way they're interchanging play and confidence, I'll be happy with that.
Okay, good. Stuart?
Yeah, very similar. And for me, it would just be more about... I'll be more focused on what the back line's looking like in the next game, because I think we've got a pretty settled pre-season sort of attacking side to the team, which will change when certain players are back. Which I think some players are due back on Monday, so they probably won't be ready for Wednesday. So for me, it's just like who's going to be in that back line? Is Dele coming back? Is Aurier going to come back? Because, we've said before, like I've talked about with Mike, and that is that when you get into those last two pre-season games and you see who's in the squad and who isn't in the squad, you're starting to get a real indication of 100%. Like what Paratici's intentions are. The other thing I did want to say was that between the Colchester game and today, we've signed Galini and Hill. So I'm anticipating that there's gonna be some more stuff going on before that Chelsea game. I think
Definitely.
that's my hope anyway.
Darius, we've got 2 big games coming up, even though they're pre-season games. 2 big games coming up. What do you want to see from Spurs in the next couple of performances?
It's not necessarily what I want to see. I've more got like a conundrum in my head. I don't know what I would rather see. Would I rather see some of the youth players that we think are capable of maybe making an impact and having a say in this team playing in these games? So, for example, if I saw Pascozzi, Scarlett, maybe John, Skip play against these teams like Arsenal and Chelsea, just to see if they've actually got the capability of hanging with players like this. Because I do believe that Chelsea and Arsenal will play a semi-decent. Well, Arsenal have been playing basically their first team for all their preseason. So I would like to see those young players play against those teams and see if they can actually, you know what I mean, keep up with that level. And then also I do want to see what the actual first team would look like with everybody in. Obviously, you're not going to have players like Kane and maybe even Højbjerg, like you said, who's come back kind of late. But I also would like to see, like you said, Stuart, what the actual team's going to be and who isn't going to be there. I think whoever isn't in the squad completely is either injured, not playing, or just going to be sold, because Dyer, Winks, these sort of players, you have a couple games and you're not playing. It seems like they're on their way out. So, yeah, for me, the youth players, who's capable of playing against these big teams, and then, yeah, who's going to be going, who's not going to be in the squad. They're the 2 things I'm looking at.
Mike, for the next 2 games, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I probably echo what Darius is saying there. I like to see the same intensity, the intensity in terms of the pressing element of our game. I like to see that going into the last 2 games. I want, again, like Darius said, I want to start seeing some of the first teamers back. Just to see where they will fit in, and I suppose again the shape as well. Will we stick to the shape that we've been seeing so far in pre-season? But on the flip side, I kind of want to see how these lads will fare against the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal without the big guns. So I'm in a bit of a conflicting position whereby I want to see these boys tested, likes of your Scarletts, your Johns, your Pascozzi. I'll be honest, I don't really want to see. You can give them a half,
though. Like I said, because it's friendly, you can give him a half. You can give him, some time on the pitch just to see. Yeah. So I don't think I think he'll do that. I think he'll do that.
The only thing I don't want to see, Carter Vickers. He's not going to play. So what's the point in him playing, like going forward?
Shop window, mate.
Get him out. Window. Him and Jack Clark can pay for a centre back. I'm telling you now.
Do you know what? I just released him. We say shot window, but he was good for Bournemouth last season. So clubs who have been monitoring, or even like Bournemouth, they know what he's all about. So I don't think he needs that shot window. But
you know what? I think Nuno is being fair. He's really giving them a chance. I think he knows the capabilities of the likes of Rodon. I think he knows Dyer. I think 100%. He knows Tanganga. I don't think I don't even think I know about Carter Vickers really and truly. So it's kind of like, give him a chance. Is he able to cope? Is he making mistakes after mistake? Is he doing things in a game which you think, you know what, we can't even solve that problem? Then he has to go. So he's giving him more than a good opportunity. If we see him against Arsenal and Chelsea, then we might be like, oh, hold on a minute, what's going on here? But
that made me more nervous.
That would make me very nervous. That would make me very.
I can't see us selling both Sanchez.
If you can go and do a shin breaker on Aubameyang, that'd be a nice little touch.
Guys. Go on, Mike. Sorry,
I was just going to say, I can't see us getting rid of both Sanchez and Dyer. I honestly don't think both of them
we won't.
So if anyone goes, I think it'd be Sanchez.
Dyer will stay. Dyer stay until he retires. He's not leaving Spurs.
Well, his ashes are going to get scattered on the ground, aren't they? So
Sanchez is going to get used as part of a deal, right? Yeah. It might not be the Kunde thing, but it's going to be. He'll be involved in some deal. Somewhere.
Sid says the last word. What's the last word, Sid?
I've got 2 things actually. Something that's just come to mind, right? First one, do you think we should have kept Toby until at least Saturday and give him a big farewell when we played Arsenal, and then let him go?
Listen,
he deserves more.
Getting rid of him. Yeah,
he'll get a testimonial.
He'll get something.
He'll get something.
He probably got a watch like Vertonghen did, and that. You know what I mean? They got very nice watches. Did Vertonghen, and who else was it in that thing? They got really nice watches. So I think he'll probably have got something. Yep.
Yeah. Second thing, I think for the Arsenal game, I think they should change the music to Boyz II Men, End of the Road, and let Winks and Dyer come out.
You're having a laugh now, Sid. You're really having a laugh now. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Look out for Sid Say's transfer show on Friday. I do believe. Who are you getting on this Friday? Who are you getting on? Anybody from us?
Do you know what?
Me,
I'm
Darius,
gonna
Stuart,
question or nominate. I think Stuart, you fancy it on Friday?
Yeah, just let me know the time, mate. I'll figure it out.
I'll be understudy if he's not available. I'll be the understudy. I don't
there
mind.
You go. You've got plenty of options.
You be my understudy.
Plenty of options. Just a quick shout out to all those viewers watching. Thank you very much, all of you, for watching. Please hit that like button, smash that like button. Make sure you do. It really helps us out with the analytics. Make sure you do. If you're new to the channel as well, make sure you subscribe, get all the notifications, all the bells, all the rest of that stuff, so you can get all our content. Plenty of shows coming up. Thank you very much. And also leave comments in the comment section outside of the live comments. That'd be really good. We always try and respond to them where possible. Make sure you do that. If there's any suggestions you want, things you might want to see, things we could do better, things we can maybe talk about. We're always open to suggestions. Guys, Mike Hotspur, Hustler, Darius 3K, Stuart Gallop, Sid Spurs. Come on, you Spurs.